If you have ever been dragged into a negotiation with your 3-year-old daughter, you probably have some idea of how that opening scene shook out. Far as I know, there's no photographic evidence of me wearing that princess tiara, so I'll just leave it at that. This much is clear. Right now, in our family, Minka's got power. Even at 3 years old, she's figured out, mostly through trial and error and some foot stomping, that if she picks a strategy, then follows a certain sequence of steps, she can almost always get her way. It might take a tantrum followed by a sweet, knowing smile, or it might call for a perfectly timed hug when I'm least expecting it. Either way, she'll eventually wear me down. And she knows it. She knows she can get what she wants from me, and I guess it follows that one of the reasons I'm so quick to cave when she pours it on thick like this is because I know it too. We've fallen into a kind of default pattern where Minka's strengths as a negotiator bump up against my weaknesses as a big old softy. Keep in mind, it's not just me jumping to Minka's whims. She's got a different approach for her mother, for her nanny, for everyone in her little life. She reads the room and changes her game depending on the players, depending on the situation. Minka's figured out what works all on her own, because, just saying, there's no mommy and me class on negotiation strategies, no play group to help her learn to push her daddy's buttons. However, there is the benefit of experience. And here my little girl is smart enough to know that if a certain type of behavior gets results on day one, there's a good chance it'll work again on day next. There's only one way I know of to transform this dynamic, through a concept I call Powershift. Let me tell you about the Powershift and how I've come to embrace the concept behind it. In my previous books, I've written about a couple principles that have powered me in my career. Early on, back when I was starting FUBU out of my mother's house in Hollis, Queens, it was all about making things happen without any money. That's the power of broke, a power I tapped at an early age, and I still reach for it today. Then, once I was coming up in the world of fashion and starting to see some success, I was all about the hustle, working hard, pushing through, and sticking to a game plan. Back then it was, how early do you get at it each day, and how late do you keep at it? And, even more important, how do you fill the time in between? That's the power of rise and grind, the take charge mindset that drives our days. But one of the things I'm realizing lately is that none of the blessings or successes that have come my way would have happened without the ability to shift power. From other people to myself, from myself to other people, from one area of strength to another whole new area of strength. Those shifts powered the trajectory of my life and career. But I haven't written about them in my previous books because I didn't identify them for what they were until recently. But you better believe they're a big part of how I got where I am today. And now I want to share them with you. Whenever I sit down to write a new book, I pay attention to what I'm hearing from my readers, who reach out to me on social media or connect with me after one of my speeches or through my online courses. With Rise and Grind, for example, people wanted to know how I structured my days and where I look for motivation. So I spent some time looking at ways truly successful people organize their time and kick their ambition into drive. Here, I kept hearing from people who wanted some guidance on how to build the kind of foundation they need to achieve, sustain, and grow their power base. So I've spent some time looking at the ways I've managed to do these things in my own life and career. Like I said, some of this stuff came naturally to me in the beginning, but as I moved on, I started looking at ways to replicate that success as I pivoted into other areas, away from FUBU and fashion. This book is the result of all that. It's my take on what it takes to find the power in the room, in any situation, and to put it to use in a meaningful and lasting way.